Hey there, Dan Martell here, serial entrepreneur, investor, and creator of SaaS Academy. In this video, I'm gonna share 5 questions that you should be asking yourself if you're considering selling your startup. And be sure to stay to the end where I'm gonna share with you how to get access to my 5 Silicon Valley secrets training to help you understand what I've learned about scaling and growing software businesses from living in Silicon Valley. But let's get into this. So recently, I was in Boston with my SaaS Academy group, and we went and visited Chris at Wistia, the founder of Wistia. And what's really neat about their story is here's a company, if you don't know Wistia, they're a video hosting platform. They also have some sales tools. But here's a company that raised, I think $1.5 million in early seed stage funding that's now tens of millions of ARR company. And they went through the potential decision and process really of selling their company to only end up at the end deciding to raising a debt round and buying out their early investors, which is very, very rare. I mean, themselves, Buffer, and a few other companies have done that. So I had the opportunity to sit down with Chris and kind of unpack his decision process for my group. And the reason why it was so relevant to not only the group and for myself is because as a coach to some of the highest performing software founders in the world, that conversation of should I sell or should I keep going the path is one that we have almost on a weekly basis. So I want to share with you kind of the 5 questions that I've had to struggle with myself in regards to I've exited my last 2 companies to help some of my clients make the decision of selling or continuing the path. Number 1, passion or exhaustion. So the question you got to ask yourself is, are you still in love with the customer or problem that you're solving? Because here's the thing that can't be fixed. I believe the universal superpower of an entrepreneur is their passion for solving the problem. And what typically happens is potentially you pivot as you go along and you're trying to figure out your product roadmap and you're trying to get traction and you're trying to grow the business. And you might pivot yourself into a scenario where you wake up and you've lost that passion for the customer or the problem. So if that is a potential, you might want to reconsider continuing the path or exiting. Number 2, if crushing. Question mark. So the way I think about this is I have entrepreneurs come to me and they're like, I'm thinking I might want to sell the business. And I go, okay, why do you want to sell? And they're like, we've been working really hard at this for like 5 or 7 years. And I think there's this other idea that I'm more passionate about. And my question to them in those scenarios is, if you were crushing it, growing 10%, month over month, like many of my clients, if you were crushing it in your business today, would you stay the course? Would you be excited about building the business? And if the answer is yes, then fix the friggin' problem in your business. Because here's what I've learned is most entrepreneurs hit a ceiling of their possibility or their potential. And it doesn't matter if you go start and do something else, you will hit that ceiling again. And the only difference between you and the person that gets further along in their growth is because they did the work to get past that ceiling. So that's my 2 cents. If you were crushing it in your business, would you keep going? If the answer is yes, then go try to fix the problem that's causing you not to grow or crush it in your business, because that is the true question that you need to be asking. Number 3, build it again. So here's the deal. Yesterday, I was talking to an entrepreneur that is growing like crazy. They were a Y Combinator graduate, alumni, and they have an opportunity to exit the business. And they asked me what my thoughts were around this. So here's the way I think about it. If you sold the business tomorrow and you already know in your heart you would start something the next day or very quickly, just to build the same environment that you're in, meaning that you love the people you work with, you love the environment, you love the problem you're working in, the customers, the solution, then why would you sell it? Because I'll tell you this, the fun part is the journey. But what's not fun, having built and sold multiple companies myself, is the early times trying to figure out product market fit and making the same decisions you've already made several times in the past. So if you're going to build it again, you might as well just shift to whatever's causing you to even think about selling the business and keep the path. And that's why I love Chris's story at Wistia, because they realized, him and his co-founder, if we sold Wistia today, we would literally just start doing what we're kind of doing right now. So all we need to do is just give ourselves permission to do the things that we're not doing in the business that we would if we were, to keep us excited and moving forward. Number 4, pivot or persevere. This is something I learned from one of my mentors and advisors, Eric Ries, the author of The Lean Startup, where I think that if you want to do this right, about like selling or pivoting or not, or kind of keeping the path, it's really important to make it a team decision, put it on a cadence that's frequent enough. So in the early days, it might be every month. Every month you might have in your team meeting an agenda item that says pivot or persevere, and you just sit down and you say with the team, hey, here's where we're at, here's what we're doing. Should we pivot or should we persevere? And that way, it doesn't seem like you don't know where you want to go. The decision to exit or not can be a huge distraction on a team, can bring a lot of self-doubt amongst the executive leadership team around your commitment to the future and to the problem that you're solving. So I think that it's a potential good question to plant on a monthly basis in the early days, and maybe on a quarterly basis, or even on an annual basis, part of your your yearly planning, to just say to the team, look, do we want to pivot the business a little bit, or do we want to persevere on this path? And then that way, it's not out of left field and catches somebody off guard or makes them question your commitment to the future. It's really just part of the process. So I think that's a really great question to ask yourselves on a specific cadence. Number 5, perfect execution. So a few months ago, I was in San Francisco with my SaaS Academy clients, talking with Marco at thumbtack.com, the founder and CEO there. And I asked him, if he ever considered exiting or selling the business. They're a $1 billion company right now. And I was like, at that stage, why do you want to keep building and solving these problems? He had some incredible answers. They were off the record, but here's what I can share from a strategy point of view that I really loved, was his question of, well, what is the acquirer really buying? Like if they want to give you a price, how do you evaluate if that's the right price? And he just said, the way he thinks about it is they're buying years of perfect execution, right? So if you know that you're on a certain growth curve and somebody buys you today, what's that price and valuation? Because you could probably get it if you waited longer. So what they're really buying is the amount of years of a perfect execution. If you actually mapped out your revenue growth and said, perfectly executed, we think we could do this. Now, it's never gonna be that way, let's call it plus or minus, 20% directionally if you're accurate. But really, that's what they're buying, right? So it's like, do you want to spend the next few years doing that? Or if the number, like he said, look, if somebody wants to buy 10 years of perfect execution, then that might be something we're going to entertain. But we're not going to do it for 2 years of perfect execution, because it's stuff that we know we can do and that we want to do. So I just really love that question to help you get clear on, even if you have inbound interest and they give you a number, how do you evaluate if that's even fair based on where you're at today? So quick recap, 5 questions to help you get clear if you should sell your business. Number 1, passion or exhaustion. Number 2, if crushing, would you keep doing it? Number 3, build it again. Number 4, pivot or persevere. And number 5, perfect execution. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I want to share with you a training that I put together called the 5 Secrets of Silicon Valley. So I spent almost 6 years in the heart of tech and innovation, and I got to meet with some incredible people, from the top investors to the top, experts like Sean Ellis and Eric Ries and Heaton Shaw, and just incredible dudes, Airbnb, Brian and Joe. So what I wanted to do is put together this training. You can click the link below to get access to that, but it's essentially the 5 secrets of things that I felt that people in Silicon Valley are doing that the rest of the world are not. And it's the way to think about growth. It's the way to think about your business. So I want to share that with you. You can click the link below to get access. And if you found this video valuable, I would encourage you to smash the like button and subscribe to my channel. And if there's anybody you think that this video could serve that you care about, feel free to share it with them directly. And as per usual, I want to challenge you to live a bigger life and a bigger business. And I'll see you next Monday.
Just get back a little bit.
What? I can't. There's a light on my butt.